Well, good day everyone. I wanted to spend a little time on this video talking about taking wooded land and converting it to pasture land, but in the process being very cognizant of saving as many trees as we can, and the consequences of clearing property and converting it to pasture land, in that some of the trees that are left behind over the years will die, and those will have to be removed as well. So I'm going to detail that for you. This is typical, a typical yaupon thicket that was covering probably 90% of the property that I'm currently on. These are still some areas that we've left wooded on purpose to provide wildlife cover, to provide a barrier between ourselves and the surrounding property owners, so it improves the aesthetics of what they see and what we see. And I want to detail just a little bit about what that process looks like. So we took property that was, again, 90% wooded, like you see here, and converted it to this. A very rich population of nice trees, and it's very picturesque. And so as we've cleared, gotten grass established, and left big trees, we've found that some of those trees die over the course of numerous years, and so we have trees out in the middle of our pasture that need to be taken down and cleaned up so that we can utilize the property better without the deadfall. We have found that the best tool in our judgment to take down these big trees and clean everything up is a Trackhoe, and this is a Caterpillar. I guess it's a 320, and this thing is a beast. I mean, it can take down a tree like you can't believe. And it's parked right here on an area where there was a burn pile. We got the topsoil back over here. He uses a little skid steer that's got a special attachment on it that smooths this, and I couldn't tell you what that attachment is. But look over here. This was a thicket of yaupon, and we've kind of cleared as we've had a little bit extra money, and cleared spots and then let it sit and look at it and see what we think about it aesthetically. And there was a little patch of yaupon and some scrub oaks and whatnot right in this little area that you can see we just cleared, and we'll get that in good grass here this spring. And just every little bit of grazing you can add is certainly helpful. I want to emphasize that aesthetics is really important to our project here. Again, you can see big tree was taken down here. We've hauled off the millable lumber part. There's another tree stump, a couple tree stumps over there. You can see them in the distance. There's a tree stump here, and those will all be taken out. We'll bring the Trackhoe in, but all of our property boundaries, for the most part, have a cover, a buffer, if you will, of dense trees so that we're protected from surrounding property owners. And not that I don't like my neighbors. We have a great relationship with all of them. But like to not have to let them see my junk, nor do I want to see their junk. So we've carefully over the years crafted out what we want to do and how we do it. And so every couple of years we'll have a gentleman come in that does an excellent job. He cleared all this property for me, and we left a lot of trees. And of course, over the years, trees die. So my advice to any of y'all that are in a situation where you have a lot of trees on your property is leave a lot of trees, and then when they go through the process of dying out, then you still have a lot of trees. So there's one in the distance, there's one here, a couple of here, there's a couple of stumps you can see right there. I mean, we've lost a lot of trees, but we've kept a lot of trees too. And hopefully the ones that are surviving now won't go through any dying off process. And why these died, I don't know. I suspect it's just the trauma from having been jostled a bit during the clearing process. It could be disease, I suppose. I don't know. Again, some stumps down there. So this is the other side of the road, and we'll come in here and clean up this spot. So in preparation for the Trackhoe coming in, we went through this fall prior to the trees losing their leaves, and we marked all those trees so that we could tell after the leaves were gone which trees needed to be removed. Now usually you can tell just looking at their bark, but sometimes it's a little difficult. So to be safe, go in and mark those trees. So we'll cut this tree down, we'll haul off the millable lumber, and I like to take these trees out that have died when the grass is dormant. I don't want the Trackhoe driving across my pastures and smashing down all the good green growing grass, because it takes it a little while to recover. But during the dormant season, it certainly doesn't make as big of an impact. And then where the Trackhoe has been and disturbed the soil, I'll unroll some hay to cover that that area that's been damaged. So fall, early winter, late winter, really important. I prefer to do it now so that I have time to unroll hay, the cattle to eat it, waste some for that to decompose, etc. So I'll show you what I do seeding wise and unrolling hay as we go. The dead trees that we identify, we go ahead and cut down and cut them into lengths that we can load with the hay spear on the tractor, and then haul them to a local individual that has a sawmill, and we'll go ahead and mill these trees into lumber. And you can see these are pretty good sized trees. The biggest ones here probably at the base measure 18 to 24 inches across, and that will make some really good lumber. And so we harvest all that we can to use for lumber so we don't waste trees, and then we burn the tops and the parts that we can't use for firewood. And so we try to make sure and do the best job we can with the resources we have. This gentleman does an outstanding job with this Trackhoe. He's very easy on the existing pasture. You can see how easily this Trackhoe can handle this tree. And I'm going to let the rest of him working play out without me talking. So here's a typical pile prior to burning it, and all the usable lumber's been taken out of that. Here's another pile down there where another tree was. So these are some pretty big trees that have died, and it's definitely unfortunate, but that's what we got to deal with. So we'll get all these piles burned and put this to bed. This is what's left of some massive trees. And again, we cut the lumber, or the millable logs out of these once we get them down with the Trackhoe. And you can see the root balls that are left, and they will stir this pile one more time, and we'll burn everything we can, and then he'll dig a hole with the Trackhoe and bury those stumps. And then I'll come through here after they've cleaned it up, and we will start getting this ready to grow grass. So after the pile is burned, and any stumps that won't burn buried, this is what the completed burned area looks like. So they put the topsoil back over the top of it that they scraped away. You can see there's a little bit of clay down there, and that will all grow really good grass. This is the sandy loam soil here, and the next step now is I will come in with the seeder, and I will put out some Cheyenne Bermuda grass seed and probably some ryegrass seed with it, and then I'll feed the cattle some unrolled hay on top of this area, and then it will explode this spring. The other thing that I failed to mention just a second ago is there's a lot of Jigs Bermuda grass that's in the soil, and a lot of this will take root. Obviously that one won't, but the stuff that's buried down there and it's got good moisture, which you can see the moisture's right there close, that will take root, and that will help cover this whole area as well. So I'll give you an update late this spring, and we'll look at this same patch again, and with the unrolling the hay, the fertilization from the nitrogen in the hay, and the soil microbes doing their thing, plus the grass seed I'll put out here, plus the sprigs that are already here, which probably will cover this all by themselves, but I'm just trying to speed it up a little bit. You'll see that this will totally cover. I want to show you the rig I used to put out the seed. This is a Swisher Commercial Pro broadcast seeder. It holds, I think, probably about 200 pounds. The spinner's down here that shoots the seed out, and I got it hooked to the front of the Kubota with a step down hitch. Then it's got a riser that will allow me to put that in quite a bit higher, but I want the seed to be thrown down towards the ground, so I'm using the lower setting. And then I've just got a simple electrical hookup that comes to the front, and I take this, and it's just a cigarette lighter plug it into the cigarette lighter, and you can hear the spinner spinning. And so then when I'm done, I just pull that out and it stops the motor. And I'm going to put 50 pounds, 2 sacks of Cheyenne 2 Bermuda grass out on these bare areas, not expecting this to grow till spring, but I'll cover it with hay and let the cattle urinate and defecate on the area to provide some fertility, let the hay decompose to provide fertility, and hopefully this will help those bare spots jump start here this spring. So we'll take the top off. Got a pocket knife handy, and I'm going to cut this right in the middle and let those seeds fall in. They're coated seeds. Not sure why, but they are. And you can see it's very, very small seeds. I'm going to show you some of those. Extremely small seeds. And we'll load it up and we'll go get some of this out and we'll see how we do. You have to open the hopper manually, and so I just crack it just a little bit because this seed is so small, and it's a judgment as far as how much to crack the hopper. And so if it's too little, I'll just go over the area that I'm seeding a few more passes, or I may stop and open the hopper a little bit more. But at the end of the day, we're going to cover this area with the Cheyenne Bermuda grass seed. I actually came back and put ryegrass seed on top of this as well. The hay will go down next, and the cattle will trample the uneaten hay into the soil. They'll trample the ryegrass seed and the Cheyenne Bermuda grass seed into the soil, so we get good seed soil contact, and we'll be off to the races. So I appreciate you watching. I hope this video gives you some ideas on what you can do with your place. I would appreciate you subscribing, and I thank you very much for watching.